Welcome to another edition of Myth Reads. Oh look, Peach finally joins.
Dude, I took like maybe 10 minutes.
Oh,
I was
late.
busy. I was busy.
Busy doing what?
That
I was finishing off watching something with my parents, and then I was making myself some Nutella bread.
Peach,
So I
you
could
could
eat
not
while I was
have
watching.
timed that better if you tried.
Did you say
I
Nutella?
literally just went
No.
live. All right.
Let's get this underway.
Percy Jackson was the most requested fandom when I asked y'all. So we're going to read a betrayal fic. Specifically, we are going to be reading Betrayed Son of the Sea
Oh god.
by Hans 50.
Oh, this is gonna be a good one.
Percy Jackson thought he would finally be free from war and get to live a life of peace with his beloved girlfriend and family. But when the camp turns their back on him, his friends leave him, and Annabeth cheats on him, what shall happen to our hero? Will he get a new family and purpose, or will he and the world fall into destruction? He
Calling
is
two
Percy
things. One
Jackson,
is-
betrayed
One-
son of the sea.
Okay, that last part, I didn't know that last part was coming. I'm calling two things. One, there's another son of Poseidon, and he cucks Percy at the beginning.
Oh yeah,
And
it's
two,
gotta
Percy
be.
And then Percy joins Chaos, who is for some reason a super advanced like Star Wars ripoff of a faction. I'm calling that now.
Rated T.
You're calling that, or you know it?
I'm calling it. I've never read this book before. Also, I love the name of that person who wrote the Percy Subtraction. There she goes, and she's coming. I think that's good.
Averages 7,000 words per chapter. It's apparently really well liked, with nearly 5,000 follows and favorites,
You suggested it.
and nearly 3,000 reviews. No, I
I
just
think Beard just picked it.
picked it. I was scrolling through and picked one at random.
Until I find out otherwise, my headcanon is that Chaos is the Chaos from Maxwell Smart.
It was last
It's chaos.
updated over
Percy
7
Percy's
years
multi
ago,
chaos
but
divided.
I'm pretty sure it's abandoned. Last updated over 7 years ago. And it's tagged as Percy and Artemis. And I'm wondering if Hestia is supposed to be part of it as well, with her as a here to the side.
Quick question: why is it the stakes the world, or why do the stakes involve the world?
Because Percy's obviously the most important person in the world.
Alright. It's not completed.
No, I'm pretty sure it's abandoned. It was last updated about over
Yeah.
7 years ago.
The person who worked on it for like less than a fucking full year and abandoned it.
Started on April 27th, ended Christmas Day of 2014.
I would have preferred coal.
Chapter 1: How It All Began. Disclaimer: I do not own Percy Jackson or any characters mentioned in this story. All rights go to Rick Riordan. This is all purely made up and written for entertainment. How it all began. Third person POV. Running. Running like Hades himself was after him. Then again, he would know what that's like, considering that happened on his first quest when he was 12. Percy didn't know where he was running to. All he knew was that he had to get away. He had to run from the pain, the hurt, the betrayal that he felt at the hands of what he had considered his friends, his family, the people he had been able to depend during the war or when the life of a demigod got to be too much. After running for what felt like hours, he finally collapsed to his knees in front of a giant lake, silent tears trailing down his cheeks while he gulped down air from the arduous run he just put himself through. The water of the lake was churning, as if the very water was restless and reacting in the presence of the son of their master. Percy didn't realize that his mood was affecting the water, reflecting the emotions that were currently flowing through his body like a raging minotaur. Of course, he knew that as a child of one of the big three that he was more powerful than the average demigod, and being the son of Poseidon, he was linked to his element of water, yet he had no idea of how powerful he has truly become. Only Poseidon and Triton were ever showed to be linked with the water in such a way that it reflected their moods. Percy had indeed grown in power over the last several years, and it shows. Lifting up his eyes to stare at the unruly lake, his once bright, sea-green eyes that once showed happiness, mirth, and a sarcastic attitude were now a dull, listless pale green, filled with pain, hurt, and betrayal. As he stared off into the distance, his ADHD-addled brain flashed back to when all his problems began.
No.
Flashback!
Hell yeah, I'm ready.
Flashback no jutsu!
I can't wait for Percy to start saying data bio.
Right?
I really want to slap the person who first thought of writing flashback before flashbacks.
Standing in the throne room of Olympus, the 7 plus Nico were standing in front of the 12, 15-foot tall Olympians, the power radiating from them just as overwhelming as when Percy and Annabeth were 14 when the gods were deciding their fate of whether they lived or died. In a temporary throne off to the side a little ways, the lord of the underworld, Hades, sat giving off an aura of death. Beside him, the hearth was crackling and blazing with Hestia, goddess of the hearth and home, was sitting in her 8-year-old form, smiling warmly at the demigod heroes, especially her favorite demigod, Percy,
Oh, shit,
after
it's
he
mentioned
showed
this
her the
man.
respect that many overlooked of the child-sized goddess.
Yeah, Smurf, if Percy Jackson pick, I forgot that Hestia had an 8-year-old form. You mentioned this man, maybe he'll stop supporting the Artemis form.
Fuck off. You're saying this right as I just watched a video where a guy just drop kicked a fucking 6-year-old.
Oh god.
Why?
Why are
The comments are worse.
What are you watching?
What are you watching?
It was in a curse. It was in the curse shit post of a different Discord server, and the comments in response are even worse. I'll just paint a picture for you. Yes.
Have you been holding out on me?
Yeah, it's under the literal name is General NSFW Cursed Shitpost, and there's half a dozen people commenting about how since the guy's black, I'll let you fill in the blanks on what they're talking about.
All right, cut off that discussion.
So let's end. Can we
Shut up,
please
Smurf,
move
for
on?
like 5 seconds.
Can we please move on? Yes, please. Can we move on? I don't want to elaborate.
No, let's not move
on. Kurama.
Yes, Kurama would love it. Kurama would love
Oh,
the conversation these fucks are having.
Let's move on back to the betrayal.
Yes, please.
All the gods and goddesses were staring at this group of demigods with varying looks, some proud and in respect, some in admiration, and others with bored looks. Cough, Dionysus, cough. Finally, Zeus called the meeting to order with a roll of thunder sounding throughout the room. "Demigods," he bellowed, "for your brave deeds in the war with Gaia, and for helping to slay the giants, we, the council, wish to bestow upon you, brave heroes, special rewards for your services." "Jason Grace, my son," Zeus yelled as he shifted into his Roman form, Jupiter. "My son, for being one of the leaders on this quest, and for showing great leadership and perseverance, I wish to bestow upon you gift of immortality, and to be an immortal trainer at Camp Jupiter alongside Lupa. I would also like to take you on as an apprentice to further develop your powers." Percy smiled at his friend as he saw the awestruck look on his face. On the Argo, too, when Jason and Percy first met, it had been a bit awkward at first meeting for both of the sons of 2 of the big 3, wondering which of the 2 is the stronger. But as the trip went on, they both became great friends, bonded through their mutual experiences of leading their respective camps in a war, looking out for their friends and family, and sharing the burden of leadership. Jason looked at his father and then turned to look into the kaleidoscope eyes of his girlfriend, Piper. The beautiful Cherokee daughter of Aphrodite looked back at her boyfriend with pride in her eyes, grabbing his hand, giving it a tiny squeeze, and then nudged him forward. Jason bowed to his father. "My lord, father, I accept," he replied. Jupiter's smile threatened to split his face as he motioned him forward. Jupiter's eyes began to glow a sky blue while flashes of lightning ran across the blue as his hands began to glow. Suddenly, a bolt of blue light with lightning curled around it blasted out of Jupiter's hands and struck Jason in the chest, where it was absorbed into Jason's body. An aura of blue surrounded Jason as his eyes flashed with new power, and his body shined with immortality, making his blonde hair seem to gleam and his face become more handsome. After getting over the new rush of power flowing through his veins, Jason stepped back into line next to Piper. "Piper, my daughter," Aphrodite nearly squealed in excitement. "For your bravery and charm-speaking skills, and for catching yourself one hunk of a man in Jason."
Until like 5 books down when Gordon decides to retcon her sexuality.
At this, many of the gods rolled their eyes, while Piper and Jason blushed crimson. "I would like to give you immortality as well, along with strengthening your charm-speaking skills," she finished off with a brilliant smile. After her blush settled down, Piper looked at Jason with happiness in her eyes, knowing that now they could be together for eternity and could start a life without worrying about being separated by death. "My lady, I accept your offer," she answered with barely contained happiness. Aphrodite squealed in joy, causing the gods and the demigods to cover their ears, lest they suffer hearing loss. Aphrodite's eyes began to glow pink with the power of love, and a beam of pink light shot out her hands and wrapped around Piper. After the light dissipated, Piper was now glowing with beauty and with the power of her mother's domains. After adjusting from the transition from mortal to immortal, she turned to face Jason and was pleased when she saw the dumbstruck look on his face as he drank in her new beauty. She walked up to him and gave him a light kiss on the lips, which caused his eyes to glaze over slightly. "Close your mouth or you'll catch flies," she smirked as she closed his open jaw.
Why can't just say, why can't we have a Jason Betrayed fic where he gets cucked and then goes on to have his revenge? Why is it always Percy? I want to see more fic with Jason as the main character. Like, come on.
Ran into one of those a couple years ago.
I mean, like, doesn't he like get cucked in the actual canon itself? Like, he's barely cold in the ground before his like girlfriend is seeing someone else.
Before his girlfriend turns gay and joins the hunt.
Yeah,
Wasn't
like,
it?
He is sensitive. Like,
Oh, I didn't realize she joined the Hunters.
she
She
did.
did?
I'm
Did
pretty
she?
sure. I haven't actually read
Oh,
it,
I thought
but
that was Raina. I thought that was Raina that did that.
It all blends together, especially when you haven't read
Honestly,
the
it's
later
because
books.
the writing went fucking downhill after Thumbed Up Dude. Let's see if Raina joins the hunt.
Yeah, for some weird reason, I thought that Raina and Thalia
Yep.
up.
I
It did
don't know
that
about that, but yeah, it looks like she joins the hunt, I think.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Yep.
He
Yep,
blushed
she
while
joins the-
everyone laughed, and he pulled Piper into a hug with his arms wrapped around waist as she leaned into his chest. "Leo Valdez," the god of the forge said, standing, his metal leg brace creaking as he stood. "Boy, you have done well, building the Argo 2 and controlling your fire powers. You probably did better than most of my automatons," Hephaestus said with a stoic look on his face, but everyone could tell that he was proud of his son. The little Latino elf looked up with wait, what? What?
They just call him. What the fuck?
How do you fuck up the description of how do you fuck up the description of
I know.
Leo that said he was kind of short and almost elf-like, of just mischievous
I
and
know,
everything?
that's
That's how he was described.
Latinos, like that's what I want to see. Like I feel like that's kind of racist.
The little Latino elf.
Excuse you, that's inclusive?
Looked up with a goofy smile on his face while his clothes were covered in machine grease and oil. He was happy about the accomplishments and compliments that his father said about him. For your reward, I too would like to make you immortal, give you a better control over your fire abilities, and would like to offer you a place at my side as my apprentice, Hephaestus said. Leo was nearly bursting with excitement as so many ideas flooded into his mind about what he could help his dad build, starting with the Archimedes sphere that he found in that workshop with Frank and Hazel. I accept, Dad. Now I can spend eternity wooing the ladies. Wow, Leo already forgetting about Calypso.
Yep.
Leo said with his usual goofy flourish, while his friends chuckled and some of the gods rolled their eyes but cracked little smiles. Hephaestus' stoic expression morphed into a small smile as his eyes glowed red and his beard and whiskers caught aflame. That is a terrifying thought. I don't ever want my beard to catch fire. At least once I get it back.
To have for your parents to make you shave it off again.
No, McDonald's is who made me shave it.
McDonald's is now Myth's parents. I will not hear any argument for the negative.
Oh. I guess I've misremembered something, but oh
Yeah,
well.
Ronald.
Yes,
Ronald
he was
McDonald
raised
is your
when
daddy
Myth
now.
was a child. He was found on the doorstep of McDonald's in the lap of Ronald.
Oh God.
Quick, someone change
Someone change
his name to
what? To what?
McDaddy, Lord McDaddy. That's what he's.
Sorry, only another admin can change my name, so y'all are out of luck.
I'll ping Thunder.
I need to talk to Thunder then.
He'll do it.
He would, yeah.
He literally locked my name to be Ultra Incel.
A bolt of red shot out at Leo, hitting him. When the light cleared, Leo was cleaned of his usual grease and oil, but his hair had a slightly fiery light to it. His eyes now had a calculating, mechanical look as his mind was cooking up new projects, and his hands were twitching even more. He then pulled out some nuts, bolts, and wires and took a seat at the bottom of his dad's throne. Frank Zhang, the war god yelled as he too shifted into his Roman aspect, Mars. My son, for the strength, tactics, and bravery you have shown on the battlefield, I have decided that I shall lift your curse. No longer shall your life be tied to a burnt stick. You are a valuable warrior, and I could not be more proud of you, Mars said, smiling with a salute to his son. Frank just stood there stunned.
Tied his life to the stick.
What?
The Fates or the Sisters of Fate, whatever they're called, tie his life to that stick.
They
Yeah.
actually copied the actual old myth where the guy has his life tied to the stick.
Yeah.
How can Ares, Mars, whatever he's calling himself at the moment, fix that?
Because
The
reasons.
Fates a higher.
Don't think too hard about it.
It's not supposed to be fixed because it's all that power of being able to shapeshift tied into that body. You need basically an anchor to prevent your body from burning apart, and that's the fucking stick.
The stick good.
That it wasn't like a mile-long log or something.
Frank just stood there stunned. All his life, he had feared that his life would go up in flames due to a stupid little stick. Never had he dreamed that he would ever be free of his curse. Never had he dreamed that he could live a normal life. Well, as normal as one for a demigod. without worrying that his stick would catch fire, and he felt a broad grin spread across his face. Why not just bury the stick in fireproof material?
He did
His
do that.
grandmother, him talked about that, and they were worried that would basically be like a voodoo doll to him. Could wind up suffocating if they did that, was their concern.
Yeah, so he kept it kind of not airproof, but he also kept it on him at all times, and he made sure not to look at the stick because when he imagined it catching on fire, it caught on fire.
He bowed to Father, still grinning, and replied, "Thank you, Father. This is the best gift you could have given me, and I will continue to make you proud." Mars smiled at his son. "Take out the stick, Frank," Mars said. Frank reached into his coat pocket and pulled out the half-burned stick. Mars' eyes glowed a blood red as a blood-red beam of light shot out of his hands and struck the stick. Frank could suddenly feel his connection to the stick break, and he let out a yell of pure elation. He then took a seat at the base of his dad's throne. That was anticlimactic.
Yeah. It would have been hilarious if Mars fucked up and he died.
Hazel Levesque and Nico D'Angelo, the Lord of the Dead proclaimed as he shifted between his two aspects till he landed on Pluto. "Hazel, for your efforts in the war, talent with the mist, and your battle with Quidius, the giant, I too wish to remove your curse over gems, and to grant you more control over you powers of all precious metals under the earth,"
What?
Pluto said with pride shining in his eyes.
Let her go on her way.
"I also want you to know that the gods have decided to grant you amnesty from the underworld, and you can live a long, happy life."
Okay.
And we know you've been alive for years at this point, for years at this point, but we're going to give you amnesty so you can keep living.
Okay.
Hazel was speechless. Her biggest fear was to return to the underworld after the war was over. Tears of joy began to fill her eyes, and she stuttered out, "Thank you, Father." Nico pulled his sister into a hug, so glad that he won't be losing another sister, and that they can spend more time together. Nico Dan.
I was like, what sister there? I was like, oh yeah, Bianca. She got fucking bodied in book 3.
Keep forgetting about Bianca.
Accepts immortality only to die shortly after.
I mean, her death is just like Talos, like the reject Talos falls on her. You don't actually ever see her body. So
why was she even taken on that quest? It's like she was.
That's why.
She's a fresh recruit. Why didn't Zoe take along like the hunters that had like 600 years of experience or something?
Well, obviously,
literally Percy would have been a better choice in every way.
Yeah, but they're fucking misandrists. The entire hunt is so.
Indeed.
Also, Bianca was
what's
shield,
that saying again from Hawken? Everpeach, when I said that, the reason why girls like camping is because it reminds them.
No, dude, we're on stream. Don't say that.
Okay.
Don't say it. We're on YouTube.
Like myths not monetized. At this rate, he never.
Okay,
will.
I will post it in the Discord.
Make a bit of money on this.
I said myth isn't monetized, and he never will be if we have anything to say about it.
I don't want to be monetized. That's too much work.
At this point, if you do get monetized, like everyone's gonna be just like, oh, he's an awful person. Look at this thing from the past. It's just gonna be the random shit that we're saying, and we'll be like, yeah, that's right. He is an awful person.
Nico D'Angelo, my son, Hades said as he shifted back to his Greek aspect. "Even though you were not part of the Seven, you still found the doors of death. Your efforts in the war shall not go overlooked. I would like to bestow the title of Ghost King upon you, along with Prince of the Underworld. You shall become immortal, and my heir should I ever fade. What do you say, my son?" Hades proclaimed with pride in his voice, and a rare smile on his face.
Why is immortality being handed out like some cheap candy? No.
That's how it is in Percy Jackson, though. It's like, oh, it's just like, oh yes, Percy Jackson, you brought in my keys from the dinner table when I was about to go out driving. Here's the godhood. It's like, yo, thank you for getting me that beer. Snap my fingers, you're immortal.
Story is told me anything so far, it's that this author, from his characterization of the gods, has never read Percy Jackson.
Properly. He
On
read the
point.
fan fictions. That's where he got most of his ideas.
Well, no, dude,
from.
if she, I'm assuming it's a she, but actually no, it's probably he, ever actually read the fan fiction, it'd probably give Nico impreg powers as well.
Oh God.
Godhead.
No.
Like,
No. No.
To mention, they'd have to bolt Artemis to her throne to keep her from attacking.
That
all the
that
males.
Ever Peach, that comment
Like,
was
like,
less.
Let's move on.
Dark Knight.
Alright, shut up. We're moving on.
Let's move on. Nico, like his sister, was struck speechless as he heard the reward that was being given to him. He finally composed himself as he bowed to his father, straightened himself, and replied, "Father, I happily accept your offer and swear to do all that I can to rule as you would, should I ever need to take up your position as Lord of the Underworld." Hades smiled at his two children as his eyes glowed a dark black, and an aura of death surrounded him. 2 blasts of black light struck both Hazel and Nico, but the one that struck Nico was larger. As Hazel felt her curse leave her, Nico grew to the size of 10 feet, glowing with the power of the underworld.
Nico's become a Primarch.
All forms of power glow.
Yes,
It would
all
be
forms
cool
of
if
power glow.
Dude, do you not disrespect my man Corvus Corax by comparing Nico to him? Alright?
Percy
Is there
looked at the
anybody
kid that
else
he
that-
considered his little brother and could not feel more proud of him. He looked at Hazel, who he considered at little sister, and felt extremely happy that her curse was finally lifted. After Nico shrunk back down to his regular size, Hades swept both of his children up in a hug that was very uncharacteristic of the god. But hey, his kids weren't complaining. He released them and they sat at the foot of their father's temporary throne.
Can I just say, the one thing I love about all the Percy betrayal fics is how fucking stupid they are. It's like, you know, by this point, even Zeus kind of just fucking loves Percy for being such a massive help. So if you think about it, like, if he was betrayed, every fucking god would be like, "Oh, you fucking cunts." Like,
Every
what
god
have
would be
done?
all, you done fucked up.
Yeah, like
That-
That's
That's my boy there.
Say goodbye to all those demigod powers. Right? They would not let that go unpunished.
Oh no. Annabeth Chase, architect of Olympus and my daughter, Athena said with pride in her voice, her gray eyes shining with intelligence and wisdom. My daughter, you have done what none of my other children have ever been able to do. You have recovered my beloved statue, the Athena Parthenos, and have settled my feud with the Romans once and for all. I would like to reward you my full blessing. The council and I have decided to let you design a city at Camp Half-Blood, much like the one at Camp Jupiter, where demigods can live in safety and live long, productive lives. You'll be working closely with me as this project gets underway. I looked at my beautiful girlfriend as her eyes lit up at the idea of designing a whole city where demigods can live in peace and raise families. And I realized that this... What?
If only Percy was aware of Japan and Japanese demigods, then he would be aware that he was about to get fucking NTR'd in this fic.
And I realized that that is the perfect gift for her. Building something that will last 1,000 years. She literally already did that when she rebuilt Olympus. She literally already did this in rebuilding Olympus.
Pain.
Hey, you see this? Wants me to do it again?
We gave you this as a reward last time, but let's do it again with a little bit of a new twist.
Like, wait a second, I got this already.
You're
You're
getting a demotion. Last time you got to design a city for the gods. This time you're designing a city for demigods.
Yeah, like, congrats, you're now like a municipal worker in New York City. I hope you remember that in your life.
Congratulations, Mr. Chairman. You've been promoted to janitor.
Annabeth
Boy,
beamed
I've never
at the
been a janitor before.
Annabeth beamed at the wisdom goddess and replied with, "Mother, I accept." Athena smiled at her daughter as her eyes and hands began to glow a striking gray color.
A mop materialized in Annabeth's hands.
A beam of gray light shot out and hit Annabeth in the chest as she received her mother's full blessing.
Suddenly, her outfit changed to gray, dungy overalls,
She's wearing a...
and New York Metro cap appeared on her head. She also developed a crack addiction.
She's wearing the same outfit as the janitor from Ned's Declassified. If anyone else remembers Ned's Declassified.
That's a show I haven't thought about in a while.
That's his name I have not heard
Never
for
heard of
a
it.
long, long time. Neither have I, but I'm still gonna say the fucking Obi-Wan line.
I
And you still managed to fuck it
When the light faded, my jaw dropped open and I momentarily forgot how to speak. Annabeth now glowed with the power of her mother, making her golden hair shine in the light and cascade perfectly over her shoulders and down her back. Her eyes, which were always striking and pretty, were now even more beautiful and mesmerizing.
Oh, wait, can I just say something? The one thing I hate, like, even more about, like, most portrayal fics is Percy Jackson portrayal fics that take place out after Heroes of Olympus. I think that's the sequel, right?
Yeah.
Because Percy and Annabeth
Olympus was
have
the last
gone
They
through
literally went
fucking,
through Tartarus together.
like, uber hell together.
Hell
There's no
itself.
way she'd just, like,
It's uber
fucking
hell.
dump him.
They went through the deepest levels of Tartarus, and that's like the hell that hell is afraid of.
That's like
It's the warp, basically. It's the closest equivalent to the warp.
Yeah, there's no way that Annabeth betrays Percy after Heroes of Olympus.
Yeah, like I could see
But after the
maybe
House of Hades.
not to the House of Hades. Yeah, I could see maybe an argument being made for after the first series, considering like suspension bridge effect was really enforced there. You know, I guess suspension bridge effect also applies to the House of Hades, but it would be kind of different because didn't they like end up sharing like each other's pain or some shit at one point? Something like that. Like they're like
Both
super
held up
connected.
the sky together at one point.
That
and
too.
Both had like changed hair. They both had
Matching gray locks of hair.
She seemed to glow with beauty and, in my opinion, beat Piper out by a mile. Annabeth saw my expression and smirked. "What do you think, Seaweed Brain?" I just continued to stare. She laughed and closed my mouth before giving me a light kiss. All the gods and my friends laughed while wearing amused expressions while I blushed. "Perseus Jackson!" Poseidon's voice boomed out through the throne room. All talking
Didn't he just
immediately
call him
stopped.
Percy?
Yeah, Poseidon would definitely just call him Percy.
Can someone look in the books and see if like he actually ever called him Perseus Jackson?
First time they talked in Lightning Thief, referred to him as Perseus just once. I think that was
No,
the
but
one
like
and only
with the
time. he
last
called him
name.
Perseus.
The last name.
I don't think he's
Like,
ever
usually-
referred to him as his full name.
I can't
usually when
remember
a
if it
parent
was
refers to a
Zeus or
child by
Poseidon.
their full
When he was
name.
being offered godhood at the end of one. What's the
All
I think it
talk.
was literally only once in the entire story, in the entire
last
series.
Olympian?
All talking immediately stopped. I walked forward, bowed to Zeus, and then knelt at my father's feet. Does anyone here think that my son is unworthy? My father proclaimed. No one said anything, looking at me with respect. Even Zeus. My boy, for your heroic efforts in the war, for defeating multiple giants and single-handedly forcing Gaia back into slumber, we once again offer you the gift of godhood. Do you accept? Poseidon asked with pride just rolling off him in waves. Whoa, I thought. Deja vu.
I have been in
might
this
as well
place
refuse it
before.
again.
Dad, my lords and ladies, once again, I'm honored and all, but I can't accept, I said.
This is just like the worst fucking mistake. Why? Like, he should have secured godhood for himself and Annabeth, like at least one of the times that he was up there.
And also, Annabeth literally just got offered immortality right in front of you, and
No, she didn't.
Why wouldn't you want? Oh,
She did not get offered immortality. She got her mother's full blessing and was allowed to design a demigod city. That's it.
Talk about plot convenience.
Literally all the others got offered immortality, but not Annabeth. And Hazel didn't get immortality either.
This is some shit Hera would pull.
so bad I already immediately forgot.
It's at least
Only
more
happened
realistic
10
than the other
seconds
ones.
ago.
Most of the gods had looks like they knew that I would, like they knew that would be my answer. Dad looked at me with a little disappointment because I know he wanted me to join him in godhood, but the pride and love in his eyes overshadowed that. Well, my son, can't say I'm surprised, but I'm sure you have a request or have something in mind, yes? He asked me. I do, in fact, I said. Release the peaceful titans, like Calypso and Leto, from their prisons, which you didn't do last time. And my other request is for you to give Lord Hades and Lady Hestia their thrones on the council. They are the two eldest children of Kronos, and I think it is long overdue that they be allowed to be seated among you. Hades is one of the big three, and Hestia is the last Olympian. If anyone deserves a throne on the council, it's them. All the gods looked at me in shock, some smiling at my request. I looked at my father, who was also smiling, and then at Zeus, who looked a little mad at first, but then a look of understanding passed over his face as he realized that I was right. Yeah, this person definitely has not read Percy Jackson's Zeus.
He would not go along with that.
Someone just joined and just instantly left.
I agree with Perseus' request, father, Athena stated, which shocked me that she sided with my request. I agree as well, husband, Hera said, which shocked me and my friends even more than Athena. Our family has been divided for too long. It is time to unite and complete our family, wouldn't you agree? I suppose you are right. Very well, Percy. Your request is accepted. Welcome to the council, brother and sister, Zeus said as he clapped his hands and two thrones rose up from the ground. The first throne was completely black, made from black obsidian with bones embedded into the sides, base, and head of the throne, with pictures of death all around it. The second throne seemed to be made out of pure fire and flames that seemed to give off a warm and cozy feeling. Hades looked a little shocked, but then recomposed himself, came up to me and shook my hand in thanks with a bit of respect in his eye. Hestia, after she overcame her shock, launched herself at me, crushing me in a hug that could rival Tyson's, saying thank you over and over in my ear.
Hit that lolly, boy.
What, did he just already have those thrones made, or did he just will them into existence?
Just don't think too hard about it. After she let go, both Hades and Hestia walked to their thrones. growing into their 15-foot tall forms, and sat down. Percy, Hestia called out, once again you have used your gift for others, and haven't, for a moment, thought about rewarding yourself. I move that we at least give you some gift that is for you and you alone. I move that you at least get partial immortality. The council was nodding their heads at what Hestia said. Not even 5 minutes on the council, and she's already making them agree with each other. I just stood
Where's
there,
the
not.
betrayed part?
I don't know. That's what I'm wondering.
I'll wait for the rest of the chapter. Right ahead a little bit. I know. I was right.
Well, was he dreaming or something? Like, is this all a
Thi-
dream?
no, this is all a
No,
flat. This is
probably
still a
right away when
flashback.
you talk.
We're still in the flashback, Zero.
Oh.
I just stood there not knowing what to say. I can't. If I choose partial immortality, then I won't die of old age, and I can't leave Annabeth. I just can't. It's all right, Perseus. What you and my daughter didn't know is that my full blessing grants her partial immortality as well, Athena stated.
Look at that.
Why did they just gonna spring that on her?
Cities forever. Then afterward, they're gonna hand Athena a mop and say, "Okay, you can mop them forever now."
I said something really smart along the line of, oh. The gods and my friends chuckled at my sharp wit. It has been decided that you shall be given partial immortality. Artemis, I think it would be best to give him the same kind of immortality you give your hunters. Artemis nodded and slipped off her throne, shrinking down to human form. She had an unreadable expression on her face as she approached me, but I saw a flash of gratitude in her silver eyes, and was that respect?
And then he gets turned into a woman.
That sounds about right.
I mean, that would be the kind of immortality she gives.
And he's banned from having sex ever again.
Yeah. Like, there is no way that Artemis would ever give immortality to a boy.
Like, she respects Percy, especially after the Titan curse.
Yeah, she respects him, but she still wouldn't give him immortality. It would have to be another god that did it.
Yeah, like Poseidon.
Yeah.
Thing on his water throne right there. Literally right there. He could do it himself.
She placed a hand on my shoulder, and I glowed silver for a moment before it faded. With a nod at me, she turned around and walked back to her throne. Well, now that the rewards are all handed out, let's celebrate! Zeus snapped his fingers, and the throne room turned into a large party room, with the muses singing, and we all partied all night long. End flashback. Sitting along the sandy beach of the lake, Percy smiled slightly at the memories of the award ceremony. Seeing his friends rewarded and finally having the happiness and peace that they so rightfully won, lessening the pain and betrayal on his face slightly. The smile was wiped away, and the betrayal hit him full force once again, as his mind flashed back to when he came and stole everything away from him.
Now we have the other unknown child of the big three who is somehow 16 years old or older without tripping off the prophecy. With
Right?
no explanation as to why.
No,
Why is there a flashback 2 paragraphs after the first flashback, which was basically half the chapter?
because
Fuck
reasons.
That's why.
Clueless.
Flashback 1 month after the awards ceremony.
Oh, it does flashback mention in this chapter.
Wow.
Oh wait, no. Okay, only 4 times. I was really confused for a second. It said 11 times. I was like,
It only
what
takes
the hell?
Annabeth a single month to cheat on Percy.
You know, I could make some kind of like red pill joke here, but
These are the pills that Annabeth is taking every morning for some reason. You know,
like
he didn't
you know,
remember the names prescribed.
dude, every damn fucking red pill YouTuber will make some fucking joke like that if they see this. Yeah, women just leave you.
No. Percy is
Plot
based on
twist,
Chuck
this one
Gold.
wasn't her fault. It's a crossover with Shiro's Kuro Dantalion. He stole her.
I'm sorry.
Just after dinner
Indeed,
at the
yeah.
pavilion, the demigods were streaming out and back to their cabins to go to turn in for the night, leaving Percy and some of his friends, Grover, Annabeth, Clarice, and Chris, behind to hang out for a bit. Can you believe it has been a month since the second giant war, guys? Grover said as he was munching on an aluminum can. Say what you want, but those things were second to enchiladas, according to Grover. Yeah, I almost can't believe it, Percy said. By the way, how are things going with the council, O mighty lord of the wild? He said with a playful smirk at his best friend. You wouldn't believe it, guys. Dryads, nymphs, satyrs, and naiads have been calling in from all over the country, reporting in about their wild places. The humans trying to come in to tear it down to build malls and highways, and then the nymphs sabotaging their equipment and bulldozers, and leaving worms and all other sorts of nasty surprises waiting for them when they come back to the site, he said while chuckling.
Man, all those poor people who are just trying to do their damn job to
Right?
for their family. Fuck them.
Just
know?
fuck them. Their livelihoods don't matter. What matters is preserving the wild. Things have been going pretty well so far. We're able to clean up and preserve the last wild places a little bit at a time, but we still got a long way to go. Chuckling, Percy said, Remind me to never get on their bad side. Last time I accidentally ran into a tree, the tree nymphs came out and started throwing acorns and pine cones at my head. I even got on an acorn stuck up my nose.
An entire acorn?
Stuck up his nose just from someone throwing it at him.
Wonder what those are holes can do.
What angle did they throw it from?
Damn it. Zero, piece of
God
shit.
damn it, Zero.
That's where
What?
they put the pine cones.
This is why you're everyone's hero.
Yep. Look, it's a good question though.
Everyone there burst out laughing at the mental image of Percy getting pelted with pine cones and acorns. Their laughter was immediately silenced when they heard a distant cry of pain and a loud roar coming from just outside the camp borders. Immediately, Percy, Annabeth, Chris, and Clarice raced to the border with their weapons in hand, while Grover ran off to the big house to alert Chiron. When the demigods reached the border, they noticed a dirty blonde-haired 15-year-old boy with sky blue eyes that looked really familiar, being chased by a monster they were all familiar with, a Hydra.
Minotaur? Oh.
They
Yeah,
boy
Hydra.
looked like he had been running non-stop for Zeus knows how long. He was wearing ripped jeans with a few cuts that were bleeding from them, a light blue ripped t-shirt showing lightly tanned skin with a few more cuts, and black Converse shoes that didn't look the worse for wear. He was holding an elegant celestial bronze sword, about 3 feet in length, with an electric blue trimming around the edges.
He's so cool.
This, I know in my mind that this is going to be a secret son of Poseidon, but it sounds like they're describing a secret son of Zeus.
Yeah, if there's electricity.
Mm-hmm.
And blonde hair, blue eyes,
I was personally thinking a rock
Electric
band version
blue.
of Link from Legend of Zelda.
Nobody
like-
plays that game.
The Hydra was about 50 feet from the unknown demigod, but it was gaining on him, as it was obvious that the poor guy was exhausted, but was still going, trying to get to safety. Hey, over here, this way, Percy shouted, as he ran towards the boy while others were right behind him. Once they reached him, the half-bloods finally got a good look at his face. Bright sky-blue eyes framed by high cheekbones, a slightly oval face with a rounded chin, a cleft in it, a straight nose with a little curve up, and a medium-sized mouth with thin lips that was currently open and trying to gulp down as much air as it could get. All in all, a decent-looking guy that just looked tired, exhausted, and ready to collapse at any minute. Okay, guys, here's the plan, Annabeth said in a commanding voice. I knew she had a plan from the way her eyes were shining as her mind was going a million miles an hour, coming up with a plan to deal with the monster. Here's the plan, Annabeth says. I knew she had a plan. Here's the plan. I knew she had a plan.
It's like, all right, boys, here's the plan. We're gonna run in straight ahead. They're never gonna expect that.
We'll run in and hit it till it's dead.
Boy, that's a good plan, boss.
Thank you, Blessing of Athena. Chris, you're going to be the distraction. Use your speed to run around the Hydra, drawing its attention to you. Percy, Clarice, while he's distracting the heads, take out the legs so it can't move. Once the legs are gone, Percy cut off the heads, while Clarice cauterizes the wounds with the spear. I'm going to take care of this guy and get him across the border. I'll come back and help when that's done. Everybody got it? We nodded our heads, turned, and ran at the Hydra. Chris began running around the large monster, drawing all the head's attention away from Percy and Clarice, as they snuck around the monster's flank to get behind the big behemoth. The heads lunged at Chris, and in an amazing display of speed and agility, Chris was bobbing, weaving, spinning, and dodging, while the Hydra's teeth came within inches of him. Moving quickly, Percy swiped Riptide across the monster's back right leg, taking it off completely, while Clarice used her sword to take out the left leg. The monster roared in pain as all of its heads whirled around to where they were standing with hate glowing in its red eyes. The heads tried to lunge at the pair of demigods, but after fighting in 2 wars against countless monsters, it was child's play for the two to dodge and dance out of range away from the heads. Using the distraction, Chris dashed in and took out its front 2 legs and pulled back quickly. The Hydra let out a growled yelp as it lost its last 2 legs. Percy, Chris, and Clarice worked in sync with each other as Percy sliced off the heads while Clarice cauterized the stumps, and Chris warded off the other heads away from his friends. In no time, Percy sliced off the last head, and the monster let out one last roar of pain as it turned into golden dust and was blown away in the wind. Well, that has got to be a new record, monster ass kicking. What do you think, guys? Percy joked as he dusted off the last of the monster dust from his shirt. I think so. Though I think most of the credit should go to me for that one, Chris said with a grin, as Clarice rolled her eyes at her boyfriend. Heck no. The credit goes to me for cauterizing the head stumps. You and Prissy get half credit for the distraction and head slicing, though, Clarice said with a smirk at Chris, and Percy had mock-hurt expressions on their faces as they mock-grasped their chests. You wound me with your words, Clary. Well, anyway, let's go check on the kid and see if he is doing okay, Percy said as he turned away with a smirk on his lips, as he saw Clarice's face redden in anger and the use of her nickname. Since when has this been her nickname? Why you? Any comment was lost as Percy, laughing, made a mad dash for the camp border with an angry daughter of war on his heels, with Chris laughing as he brought up the rear. The whole camp rushed out of their cabins at the sound of the monster attack and was at Thalia's, where Annabeth hovered over the unconscious, unknown demigod as he poured some nectar, the drink of the gods, into his open mouth. Chiron What?
Just hang on, I want to reread that part again. What did it say?
The whole camp rushed out of their cabins at the sound of the monster attack.
About the... Okay, she. I thought you said he had poured water into his...
No, I said she.
Alright. I was confused for a second.
Chiron galloped up the growing group of demigods and surveyed the scene. What happened here? The thousands-year-old trainer asked Percy and his group. As they finished recounting the battle with the Hydra, Annabeth took up explanation of after she and the boys crossed the border, where he promptly collapsed. And Annabeth has been trying to revive him ever since. As soon as she finished talking, a cough was heard from as the boy opened his eyes and sat up, looking a little woozy as he did so. "What's your name, child?" Chiron asked in a concern and curiosity in his voice. After a few more coughs, the guy cleared his throat. "My name is Zane Sky, with an E. I was told to come here by my uncle after these creatures, women who looked like snakes, broke into our home and he threw me out after they were killed. He gave me this." He shows his sword to Chiron. "To defend myself. He told me to get out of his sight, where I've been running for the past 2 days, as that monster chased me." Zane finished with a look of anger on his face as he talked about his uncle. "Well, Zane, do you know who your father is?" "I never met him," Zane replied resentfully. "He left my mom before I was born." "Tell me, my boy, do you know about the Greek gods and mythology?" "Yeah, those dusty old deities that went around having a bunch of kids that went out to fight and kill a bunch of freaks and monsters. What about them?" Zane asked in a condescending tone while the crowd snickered a little. "Well, Zane..."
He would have been clued in after the Greek monster that was chasing him for days.
Right?
Yeah. You know, don't be too hard on him. Obviously, all his brain cells went to his dick.
Oh, God.
Pretty much. Anyway.
And to say,
Well,
imagine
Zane...
being, like, I was just thinking about, like, fucking Athena, because, you know, he's me cucking Percy, and Percy's girlfriend is the daughter of Athena. But I'm also thinking, imagine being, like, just, you know, a guy in college, cute girl keeps hanging out with you in the library, you're like, okay, that's cool. Then one day you open your fucking dorm room and there's a baby sitting in a basket outside. Like, wouldn't that suck?
Yeah?
It's like you didn't even actually fuck her. It's like you didn't even
Yeah,
get
I know,
the
that's
fun.
the worst part. It's like...
Yeah. Yeah, I feel sorry for the fathers of children of Athena, now that I think about it. Like, they didn't sign up for this.
We lost another.
Well, Zane,
It's like you go out and
both
it's
of
like, you
those.
knock on the door and like you go outside and you're like, oh yeah, it's my Uber Eats, but it's not. It's something much worse. Father, it's responsibility.
Well, Zane, you are the child of those, how you say, old deities. Chiron replied with a slight frown on his face as he caught the tone Zane was using. You've got to be
Why the guy
kidding
said,
me.
"Boy, Zane, he's my favorite, you know, mythological character." Obviously, he's named after a mythological character, like almost everyone else in Percy Jackson is. The great Greek hero Zane.
You've got to be kidding me, Zane laughed as he stood up a bit unsteadily with Annabeth supporting him. Thanks there, pretty girl, he said, winking at Annabeth, who blushed slightly as she looked away with a small smile on her, while Percy narrowed his eyes and frowned at the way he talked to his girlfriend. Suddenly, sharp gasps were heard throughout the crowd as they saw a light flash above Zane's head, and shocked murmurings ran throughout the crowd. Percy and his friends could only stare in disbelief at the symbol that was over Zane's head, a lightning bolt arcing with electricity. Huh, I guess he was a child of Zeus.
Honestly, though, it would be hilarious if, like, after Heroes of Olympus, just, like, hundreds of kids started getting claimed by Zeus.
Right.
Like, he's beside her looking like, what the fuck?
Oh, thank God the threat from Kronos is over. Time to claim all my kids now. Hundreds of demigods start pour Zeus demigods.
Excel spreadsheet.
I have to make several extensions on the Zeus cabin.
Zeus's cabin turns into a city of its own.
Yep.
And they're all under 16, of course.
God.
What the heck was that? Zane yelled as he tried to stumble away from sign that followed after him, where he almost fell if Annabeth hadn't caught him with still slightly pink cheeks. All hail Zane Sky, son of Zeus, ruler of the heavens, lord of the skies, king of Olympus, said Chiron as he and everyone kneeled to a surprised Zane. Time skip! There's a time skip inside of our flashback.
What the fuck?
God, get to the fucking point.
Yes.
I'm gonna head
Get
out.
to the betrayal.
No, you stay right the fuck there, Smurf.
I'd rather write.
You can
And
write while
shit better than
listening.
this. I cannot consume AIDS and then write quality. I cannot do both.
Sure you can. It's been a month since Zane came to camp and was proclaimed the son of Zeus. And what a month it has been. A month of hell. Ever since the claiming, campers have flocked to Zane when they saw his daddy was the king of the gods. And Zane was eating up the attention like Blackjack eats sugar cubes and he couldn't get enough. Only Percy and his group of friends were the only ones not suckered by Zane. The only problem was that Zane noticed. In his little mind, he thought that because his dad was in charge, and since he was Zeus's son, then everyone should pay attention to him and listen to him. When he heard that Percy was the son of Poseidon and twice hero of Olympus, well, that just didn't sit well with Zane. Zane made his disdain for Percy quite clear by all the insults he threw at the son of Poseidon, saying that he wasn't as tough as everyone thought he was, that he was just a big coward, even though Percy and his friends saved him from the Hydra. When he realized that Percy really didn't respond to his taunts, or even care for that matter, and realized that he only cared about what his friends said, a devious little plan started to form in his twisted little head. He began dropping little rumors and lies to his devout followers about how Percy wasn't as strong as people said he was, or that he really didn't kill as many monsters as people said he did. And being the new,
Are you
naive
going to drop lies about this when there are a shit ton
of eyewitnesses.
Yeah, people who fought at his side during the last Olympian.
like
All of the books. all saw
instead
how
be
many
like,
monsters he killed.
you know, it's strange how, you know, when he was defending the Brooklyn Bridge, like so few of his fellow defenders made it out alive. Like no one can really corroborate that what happened there happened. Something like that, maybe. But the heck.
Dude bathed in the river Styx, fought Kronos, and did a bunch of other shit. Like he's like half a dozen different
Allegedly.
famous demigods. Sure enough, like, oh, he allegedly did.
Didn't
Just-
kill as many monsters as people said he did, and being the new, naive campers that didn't really know Percy, they ate up every word that came from Zane's mouth. As they started to believe the lies,
Newer campers, they would probably be more gullible and
well, that's the thing, the older campers would be quick to set them straight.
And they'd be like, what the hell is what are you talking about?
I'm still
Yeah,
waiting
were
for
they
the
all out
betrayal.
sick?
You'd think
I-
you'd think
it-
the
it's-
Stoll brothers would do some next level fuckery to Zane.
Oh
You'd
yeah.
think they'd do that.
And more people started talking more and more about how Zane was so much better than Percy. That was when Zane started to target his friends. He started with Katie, dropping subtle comments about how Percy didn't really appreciate her, how he heard that Percy thought she was weak, and how he really didn't like nature all that. He didn't just come out and say to her face that Percy thought she was useless, but the seeds were planted, and he began to water those seeds. Soon, Katie began to mumble to herself about how Zane was right, how much better he was than Percy. The final step that snapped Katie's friendship with Percy was when she found her prized garden completely destroyed, and mud tracks led to Percy's cabin door.
Yeah, that's
Zane's...
still, like, what the hell? That's barely proof. Like, what the
Zane
why
set the
would-
whole thing up and made mud tracks all the way to Percy's cabin door. He literally just repeated himself.
The people who read this sort of thing, they aren't smart enough to infer from what was literally said to them what happened, so they have to be told again, even after being told once.
Nearly 5,000 people are not smart enough to get it the first time around.
Are you surprised? Man, I still get people telling me, where's the elemental trinity in Elemental Trinity?
Fuck yourself.
When Percy saw Katie, he went up to her with an easygoing smile and asked her how she was doing. That was when she blew up at him, saying that she couldn't believe she was ever his friend for what he did to her garden and how Zane was right about him. Percy just stood there shocked and hurt as he heard the hateful things coming out of the mouth of a friend who he considered almost a sister for all the times they went through. He felt a little bit of his heart crack as he heard her say that she never wants to be friends with him again. As she stormed away, Percy just stood there with confused, slightly angry, and heard about the things she accused him of until he caught sight of Zane standing across the field with a smug look on his face. Percy then felt anger swell in him, but he held it in, clenched his fists, gritted his teeth, and left as a smug, smiling Zane laughed as soon as he was out of his hearing range. The next target of Percy's friends were the Stoll brothers. Same as with Katie, he began by dropping little seeds of deceit that Percy said they weren't great pranksters,
Hermes would definitely fall for this.
and that because their dad was Hermes, they weren't as important as others. What finally ended Percy's friendship with the Stolls was when Chiron found out about a massive prank that they were about to pull that took them months to come up with, and Zane hinted that Percy told on them.
How would he have known about the prank, though? Zane. That's the thing. If he hasn't been there that long, how the hell would he know?
I'm going to need you to get all the way off my back about that one.
So wait, I haven't actually read the book, but doesn't it sound like they went through hell together and now like they're basically leaving him over minor inconveniences at best?
Yeah.
Yes.
All of Percy's friends have literally went through 2 wars with him. Like, that's why Percy Jackson betrayal fics are so bad, is because there's no way they actually work.
The only way they even work in these crappy fics is when they reduce everyone down to the absolute dumbest iterations of themselves.
I almost want to write one that actually makes fucking sense, that doesn't involve everybody turned into a caricature just to basically tell everyone to fuck off. Like all the writers who did a shit job.
The only time a betrayal fic would work is if it happened before The Last Olympian.
I could manage that.
And even then, it's a stretch. Like, even then, it's a stretch. A huge stretch at that.
Challenge accepted.
After the Stolls got caught and punished with dish duty for a month, Percy walked up to them to see if he could help them with another prank, to know that he'll help them. Travis and Connor just looked at him with anger and loathing in their blue eyes, and just left him standing there in confusion. Later that day, he found his cabin covered in smelly seaweed and black muck from the camp lake. As soon as Percy walked inside, he was doused in a foul-smelling green liquid, with a sign that read, "Don't mess the Stolls, Perseus. Don't talk to us ever again. Travis and Connor Stoll." Again, Percy felt pain in his chest as another one of his friendships was ruined. He tried to wash the gunk off of himself, but it didn't go away for 2 days.
Punished by Poseidon for trespassing in what's effectively his territory if they snuck into the Poseidon cabin.
Yeah, it's very much implied that going into a god's cabin is not something you do.
No, without permission.
Yeah, without permission. As he walked out of his cabin, he noticed Zane standing a little ways away, with another self-satisfied smirk on his lips. One after the other, almost all of Percy's friends left him thanks to Zane's manipulations.
One by one, the three friends of Percy fell.
Will hates him because Zane said that Percy thought he was a lousy healer, that he broke his favorite bow and arrows that his dad gave to him for Christmas.
More sense if Zane convinced Will that Percy was fucking homophobe.
Yeah. But you're giving the author too much credit.
I think
guess
reading
I-
is giving the author too much
Then
credit.
we're giving the
Oh.
author single credit.
Nope. Would never happen.
I'll be right back. I gotta go get a couple things.
At no point in the series would it ever make sense for Grover to leave Percy. Grover and Juniper left him after Zane said Percy thought dryads and satyrs were useless, and that he intentionally burned Juniper's tree, along with a number of tree nymphs. Percy felt it when his oldest friend broke their empathy link, with a last parting message to stay
He
away from
literally
him
had
and
the
Juniper.
fucking empathy link. Grover could tell immediately that
Yeah.
hey, that's not something Percy would do. The writer even acknowledges they have this link. So
Yep.
why?
Yeah.
This is beautiful. Thank you, Myth.
Last parting message to stay away from him and Juniper if he didn't want the satyrs after him. Each broken friendship felt like a hammer blow to his heart as the cracks started getting bigger and more numerous. Strangely enough, the only ones that didn't abandon Percy were Clarice and Chris. Even though they started out rough, Clarice respected Percy as a warrior and as a friend. Doesn't mean they won't butt heads, but he was the only one that wasn't afraid to get in her face and challenge her, and that was a good friend in her book. Anytime Zane came close to either one of them, he left some cuts and bruises and a frustrated look on his face. They knew something was going on, and they weren't going to buy any of his crap.
They're not fucking retarded. They know something's going
See, that
on.
would have been pretty much everyone.
Yeah, that Clarice and Chris are the only ones acting in character here.
And even then, they're not really acting in character.
Yeah, even then, not acting in character.
They're just not retardedly stupid.
Yeah.
Also, Percy would have decked the guy by now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
It's
first...
like, also,
No,
how
he
would
would have
you
beaten him
believe
to death.
that Percy's gonna betray you, like all these people seem to believe, when you know for a fact his fatal flaw is loyalty.
Right?
Yeah, but do they know
Like-
that that's his fatal flaw?
No,
Anyone
it's
knows it.
it's pretty obviously his fatal flaw. Like, I'm pretty sure it's not a secret at all.
It's
would
an
betray
open
the-
secret.
An open secret.
Percy is like, I would betray the entire world before I betrayed one of my friends, and that's canon.
Yeah.
Athena even pretty much threatened to have him killed if it ever came down to that. Even then, he still stuck to it.
And his revenge is that I'm with your daughter.
Not for long. This is Athena's revenge, I guess.
I guess so. We're seeing Athena's revenge. That's what it is. She's manipulating
Anyway, the
Athena is the fucking.
Athena as the
God,
goddess
are
of
you
wisdom.
sure about that?
Yes, exactly. She took everybody's intelligence
Yeah,
away.
Athena is
It's
just
all
taking
Athena.
everyone's intelligence, and now it all makes sense.
He's doing the big suck on their brains, like one of those enemies from Bloodborne.
The
all
final
makes sense.
blow that sent Percy over the edge was the incident that happened with Annabeth.
The instant of. Is that the thunder? No, it's Annabeth's cheeks getting clapped.
Oh
by
God.
Zane.
Oh God. Percy was walking
That's
to
what
the
she's saying.
Why?
Percy was walking to the beach to meet Annabeth for their date. He really needed this time with his girlfriend. Recently, she seemed to be more distracted than usual, and was growing a little more distant than what he was used to. He was worried that Zane got to her too, but after agreeing to go to their spot on the beach for a date, he felt a lot better and was planning on asking her a very important question. If all goes as planned, then this would be a date to remember, and it would make up for all that had happened to him. He reached into his pocket and felt the velvet box holding a small, simple silver ring
Of course.
that was inscribed with a trident and an owl with the inscription forever and always, love your seaweed brain. He got this ring from Athena after asking for her blessing to marry her daughter. He was surprised when she agreed without hesitation and gave him the velvet box with the ring inside. Apparently, falling into Tartarus to protect her daughter fully brought Athena around to bless their
Not
relationship.
his girlfriend, apparently.
Right?
Like, damn. These hoes ain't loyal.
As he neared the beach, he heard some voices in the distance, followed by some giggling and laughter. He saw Zane sitting by the water's edge, his arm wrapped around a blonde girl's waist as he was kissing her neck. Percy was about to leave them be and continue his search for Annabeth until he heard them begin to speak. "Oh, Zane, not right there. I'm ticklish." The blonde girl giggled out in a very familiar voice that stopped Percy dead in his tracks. "No, it can't be. Not her too." "Come on, Annabeth," Zane replied huskily. "You know it feels good," he said as his hands moved from her.
Mind control.
He said as his hands moved from her waist and began to trail along her thighs and back. "When are you going to dump that loser, huh? We've been doing for 3 weeks now, and you can't find a better guy than me," he arrogantly boasted. "I don't know, Zane. We've been through so much together. But now that
Like,
the wars are
what the
over,
hell? I
Percy...
don't even know.
But now that the wars are over, Percy just doesn't have that feeling of excitement anymore. When he comes down later for our date, I'll dump him, and then we can be together," she replied as she leaned in for another kiss.
Yes, this is totally in
This
character
is so
for Annabeth.
trashy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Those words, coupled with her actions, was the final blow, and Percy felt his heart shatter into millions of tiny
My wife's
pieces.
name out of your fucking...
"Keep my wife's
Jesus
name
Christ.
out your fucking mouth!"
Come on, guys.
Left
That
vein.
that joke is really wearing thin. Come on, it's wearing thin. Much like Jaden's hair.
Killed Zane way before this by now. If he saw this crap, he would have either shattered his jaw into pieces.
He would've-
He would have either shattered his jaw into pieces.
Dude, he would have, like, they're on the beach, they're dead. He would cause
Yeah.
a fucking mess.
So
Not
is
only would he
Percy
cause,
like a
massive
pussy?
hurricane, yes,
Apparently.
that's exactly,
No, I mean, in the actual books, is he a pussy?
No.
No.
does he
So
look
you-
like a bitch?
So what?
Does
I
he
don't know.
look like a bitch?
So,
you're quoting Pulp Fiction. God.
Percy is very much the type to act first and think later.
Okay, so the first moment he that this dumbass son of Zeus, whatever, engineered something,
Percy
he
would
should have
act,
been
yes.
decapitated.
Yes. Maybe not quite
Yeah.
that far, but Percy definitely should have
Bro, you
acted.
did an marriage contract fic. I can't wait for you to do an anti-Percy Jackson fic.
I'd have to read Percy.
Yeah,
Jackson.
Zero hasn't read Percy Jackson.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Everpeach,
incredible.
JoJo just solved the problem on how to make it realistic for everyone to be fucking stupid in the betrayal fic. He solved it.
Able to use logic.
The pair whipped around with Those words, coupled with her actions, was the final blow, and Percy felt his heart shatter into millions of tiny pieces. He let out a sound of anguish at the sight of the two. The pair whipped around with wide eyes to see Percy standing before them with a small velvet box in his hand, and with a heartbroken look on his face. Annabeth's eyes widened in shock and terror as she saw the look on her boyfriend's face, as she knew he heard every word they said. "Percy!" she gasped out as she scrambled away from Zane. "It's not what it looks like!" Percy continued to stare at them, as his heartbroken look became one of increasing anger and rage.
Hell yeah.
The winds began to pick up and the seas began to smash against the beach violently as they picked up the swirling chaos of emotions that Percy was feeling at the moment as he stood there motionless. He let the box fall from his hands as he stared uncomprehendingly at the scene in front of him. "How could you do this to me, Annabeth? I thought our relationship meant more to you than this. I thought you loved me," he said as anger began to well up within his chest, as his voice got louder with each word. "Percy, it's not like that." "No! Shut up! You're going to listen to me!" Percy cut her off with a sharp voice.
Why you gotta say that when I can see you like naked right there? Like he's knuckle deep already. Come on.
"You were the one, Annabeth! The one that I would spend the rest of my life with." Annabeth could see the undeniable pain in Percy's eyes as unshed tears began to fill hers.
I feel
Do you
like
want-
this Zane guy is gonna beat the shit out of him.
"Do you want to know what I saw in the sticks all those years ago? The thing that tied me to my mortality?" The winds whipped even faster and the 15-foot waves.
Told her this.
He definitely told her this. 15-foot waves were smashing against the beach in a fury.
15-foot waves?
Yep,
Can I get surfboard out?
Water already.
you. That one world was like a sledgehammer to Annabeth's chest. What? She spluttered out.
The world.
Yeah,
It was the 15-foot waves.
No, it was a world. You were the one that pulled me out of the goddamned river. You were the one that tied me to this mortal world. I gave up godhood for you. I went to Tartarus with you because you were worth it. Percy exploded. The weather was in total chaos as it looked like the sky and sea were boiling together while lightning flashed around the beach. Tears finally began to fall from her eyes as each word was like a dagger to her heart. She made a mistake. A terrible mistake.
This is great.
Percy turned away from the sobbing daughter of Athena and turned to the smug-looking son of Zeus. "What you gonna do now, Jackson?" Zane sneered. "You got nothing left. I got the younger campers' praise and them to follow me. I got your friends to leave you. I took things from you. I got your fame and power at this camp. I took away the one safe place that felt like home for you." He began to laugh uproariously. "Gods, I even took the love of your life." That was as far as he got before Percy surged forward and placed a thunderous right hook directly in the middle of Zane's face. Blood
Happened like after the second event.
Blood spurted out of Zane's now broken nose as Zane struggled to sit up and spit out sand and broken teeth. "I know what you did," Percy said in a cold voice. "I didn't care before, because I am not a conceited, power-crazed, self-centered brat like you. I could care less about fame and power. But once you started taking my friends from me and my girlfriend, you crossed a line. And now you're gonna pay." Percy yelled as he unloaded another haymaker into Zane's face. Percy unloaded blow after blow on Zane as he feebly tried to ward off the enraged son of Poseidon's attacks. Percy summoned water from the sea, formed it into a solid column of water, and blasted Zane 20 feet back, where Zane lay moaning and groaning from the beatdown he received. Percy turned away from the moaning demigod and began to walk away when a voice stopped him. "Percy, I'm sorry. Please forgive me." Annabeth sobbed out as she struggled to her feet, trying to get to Percy. Without turning around, he replied in a voice that was worse than a voice of anger and rage. It was a voice dead and emotionless, one that cut Annabeth to the core. I guess you were right before, Chase. Children of Poseidon and Athena don't mix after all. With that parting comment, he sprinted off to the forest, ignoring the pain in his heart and the desperate pleas of Annabeth behind him. No, Percy, please! I didn't mean it like that! This was a mistake! Please, no! Annabeth screamed out desperately, trying to somehow get him to come back to her. She ran forward and suddenly tripped and landed face first in the sand. She turned back and saw she tripped on the box that Percy dropped. With trembling hands, she opened it to see the silver ring sitting there in its simple glory. Her eyes widened further, and tears were now pouring from her eyes, trailing down her cheeks. Oh gods, what have I done? She sobbed out as she clutched the ring to her chest as she broke down. Zane sat a few feet away with a bloody, smug smile that looked more like a grimace and a triumphant look on his face. It didn't matter that he just got his ass handed to him and thoroughly beaten by Jackson. He had finally broken and beaten the son of Poseidon. Now there was nothing left to stand in his way to take over and run this camp. Chiron? Dionysus.
Dionysus would be pissed.
Yeah.
Dionysus would be pissed at Annabeth as well.
Yeah?
Doesn't Mr. D also respect Percy in his own
At this point, yeah.
way?
Very much so at this point.
Also, if you think about it, he hates it. He hates fuckboys too because Theseus. He hates Theseus because of the whole thing with Ariadne.
Yeah. Annabeth's actions here would just remind him of Theseus.
Wait, does that mean he hates frat boys that are, real fuck boys who also consume copious amounts of alcohol?
Yes, he hates himself. You're right, like any good drunkard.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah, the people who empower him are the ones he hates the most. That's just no wonder he just fucking hates everyone.
I mean, he hates those Maynard things, whatever they're called.
Maenads. I mean, those are his followers. Those are more like his groupies.
However, he couldn't ignore that cold tingle in the back of his mind that said that he would regret what he did as he remembered the hardened look of hatred in Percy's cold, sea-green eyes. Percy ran as fast as he could, trying to get away from the beach and the pain that was flowing through his crushed heart. He made it to the middle of the woods before falling to his knees and letting out a massive roar of pain, hurt, and rage. A massive storm was whipping around the camp, and a massive earthquake hit, shaking everything within the camp's borders. Cabins started to creak, crack, and crumple, and the forest trees were blown back and flattened from the power Percy was emitting. After his anger passed and his rage ran out, Percy looked around stunned at what he did, and he made a mad dash for his cabin. He made it back to his cabin and flung the door open. He pulled out a small backpack and began to fill it with essentials. Nectar, ambrosia, a few sets of clothes, some power bars, bottles of water, a spar dagger, his minotaur horn, and some mortal cash and drachmas. He had to get out of here. He had to leave this place. The place that was once home and filled with a family and friend he always craved for was now nothing but a place filled with hurt, heartbreak, and betrayal. He finished packing, and after scribbling a quick note addressed to Chiron, he walked out of his cabin, out of Camp Half-Blood, and out of the only place he truly felt completely accepted. Flashback end.
You could go to Camp Jupiter, they liked him there.
Sitting on the beach, Percy reflected on those painful memories and wondered why did the fates hate him so much? Hasn't he done enough to deserve some peace and happiness? Apparently not. Pushing up from the ground, Percy began his trek once more to get away from Camp Half-Blood as fast as he could. He needed to come up with a plan to take care of his demigod scent, or he wouldn't last very long. Wait, didn't Leo, Piper, Jason say that they ran into Medea once? She had all sorts of potions for all types of stuff? Maybe there was a potion that could get rid of his scent. That's a good place to start as any, Percy thought as he began walking once again. So, what did you guys think? Good start? Please leave a review.
No. Horrible. Just stupid. You should
It made no sense. What the hell?
You should review that saying it's a top tier story.
When I click on the guy's account, it literally just does not showcase anything he's published for some reason. So I don't know why. Oh, now it works. Oh, he had written another story. Oh, he's still on the site. He's still on the site.
And his profile was updated July 9th, 2018.
He followed Jordinio's like new fic that came out just under a week ago.
Ew.
joining a pair.
Hey, he's following.
He likes my story.
He likes your story, Zero.
Dude.
Likes your story. Hey, look, Jordan's on there too.
Please
Yep.
don't tell me he's
Oh,
following
hey,
any
hey.
of mine, please.
No, I don't think he likes yours. I'm wrong. He
Yeah,
likes
because mine are quality.
Inevitable. He likes Inevitable.
Wait,
God,
VF Snake is in his list. Yeah, that makes sense.
Thanks. Thank
Does
you.
he like USS? No, he doesn't. Oh,
Dude,
wait, no, I was wrong. He likes Game of Kingdoms.
Yo, this
Okay, what
dude, this
about
dude
Shiro?
actually must be on
I
our
wonder-
servers.
I want to see Hans.
That's another one on that here. Faust Horseman Gamer. That's on SGO.
Like if I wonder, can we
Guaranteed he's
spoil
on the
this-
server, guys.
Yep.
Okay, he has must be on like at least one of the servers.
Yeah, that's a Kill Darkness one.
Okay, let's see. What's the guy's his name?
I'm
Is
gonna force
Hans.
a nickname on him now.
I mean, you're probably not gonna find him, but
I
not
wonder.
everybody uses the same name. they have
Game must
their
go on.
PlayStation
That's
account.
another
Can we
SGO
add
story.
everyone and say, okay, which one of you fuckers is this? Myth, can you do that?
Which one of you?
Nah, I don't.
Yeah, I want to hear the reasoning from the fucking mouth of the origin of the story why he went the way he did, and it could be that it was just like 8 years ago and it was cringe.
Yeah, you could just say, hey, I was like 15 or 16. Yeah, that story's fucking awful.
He's
it's
like,
all
oh
right.
god, don't bring up my past.
I can at least respect him not taking it down if that's the case.
Yes.
Well, it's the
Like,
same
leave
reason
it
I'm
up
not
as
gonna.
a reminder.
Same reason why I haven't edited chapters 1 and 2 of Invictus. It's that fucking.
Oh, he's got another fic.
Yeah, I know.
Perseus
the
Jackson,
girl thing.
Monster Shifter. Perseus Jackson is trapped in Tartarus
That one.
after the Council of the Gods, save a few, betray and sentence him to eternal suffering. Something
Honestly,
happens to our hero that will change him forever. He is tortured and cursed, with a horrible curse placed upon him that turns him into the things that he hunts and despises. Will he suffer in the pit or will he thrive? He is the
That's right.
Monster Shifter.
I'm tabbed, so I keep expecting the fucking summary of the story to end. But for some reason it keeps continuing, even though it doesn't need to. But I remember seeing a Percy Jackson fic where he's in Tartarus, and he hooks up with Medusa.
What?
I was like,
What?
damn it. Yeah, like he legit, his Medusa's like, I don't know. But yeah, like he's in Tartarus. I think he like falls into Tartarus somehow. I don't know if he's betrayed or not. But yeah,
God,
like
imagine-
Medusa is the pairing. And I was like,
Imagine
damn.
being tunnel buddies with
really-
your dad.
Heart of Stone. Oh wait, did it get? Oh, it looks like it got started up again.
Medusa would be the ultimate bag on the head experience.
Shut up. Okay, let's take a look. Alright, so there is a betrayal fic where it's Percy and Medusa, but I don't think it's this one I read years back. Yeah, there's an original one years back, and then the person apparently decided to restart it.
Citizen rewrite it or just
Rewrite it, apparently. Rewritten. Honestly, I just found it really, really unique compared like to the fact that all Percy Jackson stories are either Artemis pairings or Annabeth